Hi, Professor. I thought a screencast would be the ideal way to walk you through the assignment. So here we have my Google Classroom, and here's the course that I will be enlisting the students in, Writing Discourse. And first and foremost, I have all the students will get a copy of the assignment, and here is their assignment, their literary analysis. This is for 11th grade English, so students are required to use the text The Odyssey, and a link to the Odyssey is available for the students on Google Classroom as well, and a link for the Scarlet Letter. And students have to compare and contrast the theme of women as predatory and the role of society in both the Scarlet Letter and the Odyssey. So here is their task. Now, I also have a graphic organizer for the students that will allow them to get their thinking in order. So here's my lesson plan for the students, where their learning target is they can identify the role of women in society by identifying themes, evaluating the novels, and completing a graphic organizer. This is the first day. So here's a do now, and this is where I differentiate as a teacher. Students pick one do now that's easily accessible for them. They share. Again, it's a way to have an entry to the lesson. Then my lesson will be about my mini lesson will be about themes. And here I have the Lion King as a way to introduce theme to the students, and a thesis statement that I created based off of the theme. Then students have to do the same. Identify their own themes in both the text. Although I will be giving them the theme, they're able to identify their own themes in both text. Now here's the graphic organizer that allows them to look at the theme of women as predatory. So students have to identify the role of women in both of the text. How do they know? So justify their claims. And then talk about specific characters and how it illustrates the theme. This was a way to scaffold, especially for the Odyssey, which is a very complex text. They can talk about Athena, Calypso, or the Sirens, whereas the Scarlet Letter just focuses on Hester Prynne. And their exit assignment, which was to create a thesis statement that illustrates how both texts reveals the theme. This is really going to help them with the essay, and when we go back up to the mini lesson, I also created a thesis statement. So the expectation is to ultimately create a thesis statement with the identified theme. That's day 1. Day 2, students are deconstructing the prompt. So although I did provide students the essay prompt, I also put it right over here on their lesson. So again, students they have a do now. As a form of differentiation, there are 3. Here is their task, which is the same task that I showed earlier, except this time they are writing questions that will help them further understand the task. So they are creating questions, and here are 2 examples of questions that I created, so that they can follow my steps. So what kind of questions do they need to ask themselves in order to answer the prompt? And here are some more scaffolding questions that I provided. What is the role of women in society in each text? This way it can help them a little think about each text. And here is what will help them with their introduction and conclusion. The importance in society and interest today. And then finally, I have students thinking about what an essay template requires. This will have students kind of create their own criteria that is needed so that they can actually master the skill. And here's their independent work, where they will start their introduction paragraph, and I scaffolded by providing exactly what they needed, sentence by sentence. In your own words, write a general statement about the topic. Sentence 2, describe why the topic is important. Sentence 3, sentence 4, sentence 5, which is ultimately their thesis statement. And then their exit slip, which is their metacognitive thinking. So how has deconstructing the prompt helped you? How has writing the introduction helped you? So this is where students are getting a start. At this point, students have their thesis statement and they should have their introduction. So the following day, students will be working on their outlines. because they already started their introduction. Again, here is the essay prompt, and I provided the prompt because a lot of students tend to lose their assignments and because it was easily accessible for the students. So again, I have the students deconstruct the prompt. This time they're simplifying the task. I'm not simplifying the task for them. We will go over what they are required to do. However, I want them to really deconstruct and unpack the prompt. So they will unpack the prompt in groups, and we will go over exactly what their assignment is based off of how they unpacked it and their outline. So we did the introduction paragraph yesterday, as you can see on the previous graphic organizer, the previous student guide. So this is why it says this should look familiar, because you've already completed this. Body paragraph 1, which really provides scaffolding because it walks the students through exactly what they need for body paragraph 1. They need their topic sentence. And when I scroll down, they need their evidence to support their claims. They need analysis, and students struggle with analysis, at least my students. So here's some scaffolding questions that students can think about when they're writing their analysis. So these questions will allow students to write thoughtful analysis, because I usually get one sentence and it drives me crazy. And some transition words that will help students with analysis. This reveals, this illustrates, this demonstrates. These sentence starters will help students really get their thoughts together. Same for body paragraph 2, which follows the outline of body paragraph 1, and the same for body paragraph 3. So the structure for body paragraph 1, 2, and 3 are exactly the same. So students should be able to work smoothly through that. And finally, here's the conclusion for students, where they restate the thesis. So it really helps the students think about what they need to do in order to successfully complete this essay. And if they've done this thorough outline, then they essentially have their essay completed. They just would have to rewrite it on Microsoft Word. And finally, here's the rubric that I provided, which has students think about their introduction, their body paragraphs, the ability to compare and contrast in how they use language, how they identified the theme. So here we have conclusion, their compare and contrast language, how they utilize the theme, how they utilize evidence, their formatting, which is really important because I expect their papers to be typed, and their mechanics. So this is all the steps that I provided for each student. So this would probably be about 3 days of lessons over here. Here's the actual prompt for the students, and here's the rubric for the students. And if I keep scrolling down, students have access to the text because both the Scarlet Letter and the Odyssey have a PDF version that students can follow along with.